So what's going on, people? I hope you're all well. Manny Pacquiao says that Keith one-time Thurman is one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world today. Do I agree with that statement? Not really. I don't really agree with the Pac-Man here. You know, Manny Pacquiao normally says all the right things. However, with this time, I do disagree with him. I don't think Keith Thurman's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. I think, you know, before the, you know, when he fought Danny Garcia and Sean Porter was a unified welterweight champion, I think you could have made a case, an argument for him being in the top 10. It wasn't a certainty. Many people would argue he still hadn't done enough. You know, I think Thurman at that point, you could have made a case. Right now, you can't say he's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. In his last fight against Josecito Lopez, he was almost knocked out in the 6th round. And I don't think he's the fighter he was. So I don't think you can say he's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters out there in the world. I think even when you would say Thurman was, you know, when he beat Danny Garcia and he became unified champ, you would say that there was guys like Canelo, Golovkin, Crawford, Spence at the time was still green, so you wouldn't, you know, he wasn't really there. But I think Andre Ward might have still been fighting. You had other guys like maybe Kovalev still, although Kovalev had lost to Ward, you still probably have him ahead of Thurman. Guys like Lomachenko, Usyk at that time was still, I don't think he was relatively unknown, but it was still coming through. You know, there's a lot of guys out there that were better than, you know, Keith one-time Thurman. But however, I do think you could have made a case for Thurman being in the top 10, scraping into the top 10. There might have been people that argue that he's not. Now, Thurman, one thing I will say about Thurman is, I feel like Thurman is underrated. I think Thurman is probably a lot better than what people think. I feel like Thurman is a lot better than what people give him credit for. And I do agree with Pacquiao in that sense that Thurman's a good fighter. But do I think he's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world? I don't quite agree with that. I don't think he's one of the best fighters in the world. I think he's a good fighter. I think he's a solid fighter. I think he's a guy that's probably doesn't get the respect that he deserves. But in terms of him being a pound-for-pound fighter, I do disagree with that. I don't think he's a pound-for-pound fighter right now, especially. I think at that time, even then, there was many fighters better than him. Even when he was, after the Danny Garcia win, there was many fighters, in my opinion, that were probably ahead of Keith one-time Thurman. But he is a good fighter. He's definitely a tough competitor. You know, he's probably somebody now that we don't know what he's got left after his injury. We don't know, and he didn't look very good in his last fight. Now, if Thurman had come back and put on a spectacular performance against Lopez, we may have been able to say, you know what, fair play. You know, he's come back, although he's come back, but he's taken off from where he left off. But that's not the case. He looked really bad, and it looked like he could have, like I said, been stopped in that fight. So, you know, we can't really make a judgment on where Keith Thurman's at, because on that performance you wouldn't even say he's top 20 pound, you know, fighter in the world, because he just about scraped through against a guy that, you know, many people will think is he even a top 15. Like, he's a top 15 welterweight Lopez, but he's probably not even a top 10 welterweight Lopez. So, you know, you would probably say in the welterweight division Lopez is a C-D level type of fighter. You know, you wouldn't say he's one of the best or one of the top or even the B-level fighters. You know, he's not regarded in that category anymore. So I think, you know, Thurman's a good fighter. He deserves his respect. It's definitely a tough challenge. It's definitely a challenge which you have to give Pacquiao a lot of credit for taking, because at this stage in his career, for Pacquiao, it's a tough, he's 40 years of age. We can't forget that. But in terms of him being the best pound-for-pound or one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world, I don't quite agree with that. Even when Thurman beat Garcia and he was at his, you know, you would say at his best at that point, you'd probably say that, you know, there was many fighters better than him at that point. So I don't quite agree with the Pac-Man that, you know, that he thinks that Thurman's one of the best pound-for-pound fighters. I think Thurman's a good fighter. I think Thurman's somebody that's a tough competitor that will give you a good fight and a hard fight. But I don't think he's one of the best fighters out there. I think he's probably underrated a little. But nevertheless, I think you know, in terms of him being one of the best pound for pound fighters, I disagree with that. But leave your thoughts, guys. What do you guys? Do you agree with Manny Pacquiao that Thurman's one of the best pound for pound fighters in the world? Leave your thoughts. And guys, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys in the next video.